Welcome back on the big question tonight. Like we told you, is Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa. Thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Let's take a look at what you've been saying on Twitter. We have Nathan Aurora. Does Cabinet Secretary Wamalwa harbor any presidential ambitions in future? He'll tell us. Kenwell Liaula. CS Eugene Wamalwa has great tenacity and energy. He's the best leader to offer political direction for Western. So many people already talking about politics. Eliki Keter, I think. For my entire life, I haven't seen any water projects in Nandi North District. Can the CS explain? And we have John Mukewa. Voting patterns speak volumes. Honorable Eugene Wamalwa is no doubt the next governor of Nairobi. That's what they say. Thank you for your feedback. Keep talking to us on #242 on Twitter. Is the hashtag the big question. I'll go to all those political questions shortly. First, it's 1 year since you took office as Water Cabinet Secretary. How has it been for you? What are your key achievements, very briefly?
Key achievements, I think we now have a national water master plan. We thank JICA for this support. We also have a water bill that's almost at the tail end of the legislative process. We want to thank members of the National Assembly and the Senate for their support. This is a key legislation that will now realign the sector to the new constitution dispensation. We're very pleased with that. We have the irrigation policy now ready. We also have the irrigation bill coming to Parliament as soon as we are done with the water bill. And we have increased access to water. We are now nearing 60%, almost similar to the achievement.
60% you mean countrywide?
Yes, countrywide.
By that you mean tap water or?
It's general access to water, and of course it's higher in urban areas. It's over 60, almost 67%. In rural areas, rural areas is about 47%. We still have work to do, because now under the new constitution, every Kenyan is entitled to have access to water under Article 43, and it's a human right. So it is something that we must work on to ensure universal access by 2030, as envisioned in the Vision 2030, as well as the SDG goal number 6. So we're working towards this, and I'm pleased that in 1 year's time, we've made tremendous progress from the coast to northeastern, to Kambani, to western. We have started over 30 new dams to increase water storage, and I believe in the next 1 or 2 years, we should be able to increase access to water to close to 80%, and eventually with more resources. And this is one area we've been focusing on, resource mobilization. And we've gone into innovative ways of financing the sector, including PPPs, where we're encouraging private sector to invest more in the water sector. And we're making good progress. I'm very pleased as the Minister in charge of water.
We'll come to the specifics shortly, and many people obviously are also very specific in terms of water projects in their areas, like somebody they are talking about Nandi. Come to those questions, but again, so many people, the feedback you've seen today are asking that question. Is Eugene Wamalwa really the Minister for Water or a politician? You're one of the ministers seen as doubling in politics, and there has been hue and cry about this. First, what do you make of that?
I think, first of all, the law is very clear when it comes to the Leadership and Integrity Act, Section 23, when it comes to issues of political neutrality. All state officers are supposed to be neutral, but there's an exemption for cabinet secretaries, as well as CECs, who are basically ministers at the county level. Why is this so? Because essentially a minister is supposed to defend the policy, to implement the policy, as well as the manifesto of the party. So the ruling party in Kenya is the Jubilee. And it has its manifesto. It has its targets to ensure Kenyans have access to water, Kenyans have sufficient food, and we're increasing acreage and irrigation to ensure that Kenyans have enough food. So whenever I'm out there talking about what the Jubilee government is doing, it is really about the policies, it's about the programs of government. And once in a while, I clash with members of parliament, particularly from the opposition, who are feigning ignorance by saying the government has done nothing. And it falls upon me to now enlighten them that this is what we're doing.
There's a difference, however, in terms of defending or saying what the government is doing. The policy of the government, of the Jubilee coalition, which forms the government as a cabinet secretary, and outright campaigning and saying vote for Jubilee in 2017. Isn't there a difference?
I think there's a thin line between policy and politics. In Tanzania, they say, siasa ni sera. Na sera ni siasa. So really, it's one and the same in terms of espousing what the Jubilee government stands for, what it plans to do for the people of Kenya now and in future. But also when it comes to my position on politics, of course I have the background of coming from a political family, having been a member of parliament, having been a minister in the last government and a party leader. And I made it very clear when I was given this position and privilege to work for Kenyans in this docket, that at the end of the day, I will be going back to politics come 2017, and I made it also very clear, I mean, with whom I stand and for what I stand. And I made it very clear that I will be running with President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto in Jubilee come 2017. So that is not a secret.
And that is why some people are saying there's a conflict there. On Twitter, for example, Dixon Ogwak says, why can't he resign now and join politics of 2017?
I think
because if you're talking about supporting policies and what the government is doing, that is one thing, and you're really entitled to that as a cabinet secretary. But talking about you as an individual going for politics in 2017 and telling people support ABCD, that is different, isn't it?
I think it is really a matter of being honest about what you stand for. Like if you ask me my opinion about what team, maybe I might be Man U and you are Arsenal. If you ask me today my opinion about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, whom I think is going to be president, I have my clear opinion.
That is for sure, but you're constrained.
And if you ask me today about Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, I have my opinion about that. And I'm entitled to it.
But you're constrained as a cabinet secretary.
No, not really. I think we must draw the line here. What we must ensure as public servants is the impartiality in terms of serving Kenyans. Like in my tour of duty for the last 1 year, if I segregated or discriminated against opposition or so perceived opposition zones, then that would be a problem. Now, I have been to every corner of this country. I've been to Nyanza, I've been to the coast. In fact, some of my best friends are really called governors. Governor Joho the coast, Governor Jack Ranguma in Kisumu, and Cyprian Awiti in Homa Bay.
By that, you've actually almost answered the next question about it to ask. As we move forward, you don't want to belabor this point, but don't you think it's going against the spirit of the Constitution? The idea here is, people will say, some will say, if somebody has declared where he wants to go in the next election, who should be supported, they may use the resources under their watch to favor whatever they want, or whoever they want to be in power. And that is where some say there could be a conflict of interest. Don't you see that as a problem?
I do not see that as a problem at all. The problem would come if you were to discriminate against any Kenyan on the basis of his party affiliation, the basis of his religion, or region where he comes from. Now, that is what the law guards against.
There's a lot, of course, going on in Western, and of course, about you and politicking, it's out there for people to judge. But there's a lot going on in Western. First, the Mulembe Consciousness Movement, led by Babu Namwamba and the other MPs. I want to know from you first, what do you think of it?
I think the issue of unity is a good thing, but I think where we've reached as a country, just looking at the Democratic Convention, looking at the Republican Convention, I think this is where we would like Kenya to go, so that we're not looking at unity of tribes or uniting regions and having regional vehicles. I think we must now be looking at where we can take Kenya next to the level that we compete on the basis of ideas, the basis of policies. So there's a unity of purpose towards achieving clear objectives and ideologies. I think this is where I want to take Kenya. So as much as we want to talk about the unity of the Luhya community, the unity of the Kalenjin community or the Kikuyu community, I think what's most important is the unity of Kenyans. And if the day can come in this country where you are going to choose a party, not because you think it has some Luo or Luhya or Kikuyu affiliation, then I think that is the day we are looking for.
And we all hope for that.
Yes, and it can come.
Yeah, it can come, and we really hope for that. But sadly, the situation in the country currently and in the previous elections hasn't been that. Your party, your former party, the New Ford Kenya, you are the party leader, has been dissolved to join the Jubilee party. You were in State House with some of these members of the party. First, already that party has, I mean, after being dissolved, demanded for a position in the Jubilee Alliance Party that is yet to be launched. Already, doesn't that say you're coming there but gaining as people from Western? Goes against what you're saying when you talk about unity. New Ford Kenya is strong in Western, isn't it?
I think we have parties that are coming together. It's a process of negotiations. And I believe as things stand now, we're at that stage where the parties are now going through the process of approving the merger. And none of the parties has been dissolved so far, including New Ford Kenya. They have approved through the party organs the process of merging these parties into one party called Jubilee Party of Kenya. And I think the members of the NEC, in their wisdom, have chosen a path to travel that will then lead to the General Council and eventually to the NDC. And I believe the timelines have been set now, and the parties are moving in that direction. I do not think you could have any party dictating to another. It will be a negotiated process to come together and to form one vehicle. And I believe it will be achieved. And I would love to see this happening in court, so that we have...
So you're saying New Ford Kenya has not been dissolved?
It has not been dissolved. What we have is a NEC decision approving the merger. Then the General Council would have to approve that resolution. Then we have the delegates. When they come to Kasarani, we have TNA delegates, URP delegates, New Ford Kenya delegates. Now, there are these delegates who are going to dissolve the parties and now approve the final merger of the new party called Jubilee Party of Kenya. So it's a process, and I think so far the steering committee has done a fantastic job, and we are the pinnacle of really the decision-making organ.
Now that you say then what you really want is unity in the whole of Kenya, and I've asked you specifically about the kind of politics going on in Western Kenya. There's a scramble for votes in Western Kenya. Personally, what do you think is going on in Western Kenya, and where do you think Western Kenya should go?
I think what's happening now is not what we are hearing the rhetoric of Jubilee buying leaders or people in Western Kenya. It's the other way around. It's really the Western region buying into the Jubilee developmental agenda. Because looking at the 3 years of the Jubilee government and what has been achieved so far, the people of Western are getting attracted to Jubilee because of that developmental agenda. And I believe as we move forward, when we have all these pledges made fulfilled, the people will begin to compare the Jubilee administration and the previous administration, and they're going to make their choice. And they are holding leaders to account. When the former Prime Minister comes to Western and the people are now asking him about this, about that, it's really about accountability. You must be able to demonstrate that before you say, I want to do this for you, they say, UN government, what did you do for us before?
But what do you have to back? Well, your remarks right now, you're saying that people are going, Western Kenya region people are now seeing what Jubilee is doing and they're going to Jubilee. How do you know they're going to
Because, well, I'm a son of the region, and I know that during the previous administration, I think for the first time, we've gotten a charter, a full-fledged university in Kibabi. We're working on another university, Kaimosi in Vihiga, another one in Alupe, Busia, and one in Kitale. These are things that are tangible. We are working on title deeds, over 100,000 title deeds in Trans Nzoia, in Chebuk, in Mount Elgon. Now, these are things that people have been waiting for. We have roads being developed, and these are some of the things that people are seeing tangible benefits and development coming to them, and they're saying, wait a minute, what the Jubilee government is doing is really what we want. So,
but again, that is something we're going to see, whether that is indeed what will be happening during the vote. Very briefly, because you're winding up now. First, are you running for any political office next year? And which one is that? People are already talking about you going for the Nairobi governor's seat.
I think for now, what I've made very clear is that His Excellency the President has given me a job to do for Kenyans, and I still have a few months to go. But as and when my term expires, next year, 2017, I will definitely be going back to politics. And when that time comes, I will be in a position to declare what position I'll be running for. So we'll cross that bridge.
So for now, you don't want to say which position you'll be going for, or even where?
It will be rather premature. But what I want to say is that I will be running on a Jubilee ticket on a seat that I will be declaring interest in. Thank you. But
if you were given a chance to go for Nairobi governor?
I qualify just like I qualify for any other office in this country. And I believe when the time comes, I will be able to tell Kenyans what office I'll be running for. But for now, I'm your Minister for Water and Irrigation, and we're trying to do the best we can to ensure Kenyans have enough water, Kenyans have enough food, and we're able to remove this nation from the list of food insecure nations of the world.
Okay.
And through irrigation, we are going to achieve this.
Right. Ginson Murangiri on Twitter says, why do we have water shortages in Kenya with all these water sources, while North Africa, for example, does not complain?
I think we're still developing the infrastructure. As you know, water services is a devolved function. We're working very closely in partnership with the county governments and our development partners to channel more resources to develop our infrastructure, to increase storage capacity so as to enhance the supply. We are not yet there. We have limited resources. We have challenges of population growth, challenges of climate change. So all these are factors that we're grappling with. But I want to assure Kenyans that we're on the right track. With the plans we have put in place, we should be able to achieve universal access by 2030. Okay,
there are so many questions. Again here, we have Calvin Suhuru. What's the status of Migori Kuja irrigation scheme initiated in 2011?
Yes.
Says Magori River catchment is invaded.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to respond to that.
Yes, we're making good progress. I was in Migori recently, and we're making good progress on that project. But in Kisumu, we are coming for the launch of the Kajulu water. And Kisumu, Hussein, is going to be one of the cities that will be water secure up to 2030. And we want to thank our development partners, particularly the French that we are working with there. In Nairobi, we are working very well with the French again, with the World Bank to bring water through the Northern Collector Tunnel to ensure that we address the water shortage in Nairobi. In Mombasa, we're also doing the same again with the World Bank, bringing water from Mwache, bringing water from Mzima Springs. We launched Baricho recently. And we are going to see our 3 main cities water secure very, very soon. But Kisumu is ahead of Nairobi. Nairobi is ahead of Mombasa, but we are working on all of them, as well as the rural areas in northeastern, in Nandi, that has been talked about. In Nandi, of course, we have dams that are coming, and I want to tell my friend about Keben that is coming. We have Bosto coming in Bomet. In Kisumu, we have Koru coming. In Pokot, we have Sioi Dam coming. And in Turkana, the latest we are putting up is Lawat Dam. In Baringo, we have Radat Dam coming. So we have all this. So most of these things are long-term. In 2030, you say, do you believe every Kenyan will have access to piped water? I believe so. I believe so. But if we can do it sooner, Hussein, I will be happy as your minister. Okay. Final question here on Twitter. Mwalimu Joshua again saying, now that the CS, back to the earlier question, has immersed himself into politics, how can we be assured of services? Again, people concerned. How do you balance the two? Anyone who's been following my work will know that I've been to almost every part of this country. And my plans, political plans for the future, do not interfere with my work as your minister. And I want to assure Kenyans my focus still remains on serving Kenyans until 2017, when the time comes and I join my team in the political field. I want to look back and tell Kenyans I'm happy I got the chance to serve you. Okay. And I'll do my best until that day comes. Okay, very briefly, a question has been asked severally. Umar Dam, Madasa Dam, all these dams that there was a lot of controversy around it. Yes. Actually, we had 5 Vision 2030 dams. Yeah. And Maruba Dam was the only dam that had been commissioned. Yes. This is in Machakos County. But during this 1 year, we have commissioned the Kiserian Dam here in Kajiado. We have also commissioned Chemususu Dam in Baringo. Now, the Badasa Dam in Marsabit, as well as Umar Dam in Kitui, had legal issues. Yes. And I'm happy to tell the people of Kitui, we have finished that now. In fact, as we speak, we are setting a date for the relaunching of Umar and Badasa. Okay. Umar alone will be giving water to almost 80,000 people in Kitui County. Okay. Badasa, almost 50,000 people in Marsabit. So I want to assure them help is on the way. We'll soon get water to Marsabit and to Kitui. Okay. But in the Kitui area, also on the border with Makueni, we have one of our largest projects, Twake Dam. It's over 60 billion. It's the largest single project in the country and in the sector. Right. It's on the way, and we have already launched the resettlement. Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, Cabinet Secretary. Water, thank you so much for making time for us. The big question, of course, keep talking to us on number 2 for number 2 using the hashtag. The big question would have covered a lot. There's a lot to talk about in water, as is